I'm Thomas Ryan Carr. This is Ryan Snyder for Blue White Illustrated. We're continuing to work through the recruiting flurry that came this past weekend, with Penn State picking up several commits from the former Iowa State class, a natural transition for the Iowa State coaching staff under Matt Campbell as they begin to assemble here in Happy Valley to bring over some of those commitments with them from the Midwest. So Ryan's making some new relationships. I'm watching some new high school footage, some new high school teams from out in Nebraska, and it's interesting. It's been Texas, by the way. So our latest one here today, Ryan, is who?
Tyrell Chatman, 6'2", 180-pound defensive back out of Lincoln, Nebraska, North Star High School. Listed as a safety by Rivals on 3. I think 24/7 has him as a safety as well. I do expect him to play corner, or at least that's the plan as of now. I mean, there is some versatility here. Chatman actually did a lot for his school, which isn't a total surprise.
Yes,
he
did.
Quarterback, played wide receiver some. T. Frank, you'll get into his film a bit more, but obviously played cornerback as well out there. Finished with 88 tackles, 21 pass breakups, 4 interceptions over the last 2 seasons, a little under 2,100 yards, 26 touchdowns offensively the past 2 years. As you said, T. Frank, he didn't always play every rep on defense either. They kind of rotated a bit because they were asking him to do so much. Obviously, they needed him on offense a bit more than what Penn State is going to need him moving forward. But as I said, 6'2", 180. Right now we have him at 697 in the industry rankings. Rivals has him, a bit higher than others, as far as safety goes, number 37 in the country. But again, I do think he's going to be a cornerback. So that'll be something I have to chat with Charles Power about then in the coming days and weeks. Just a quick synopsis of his recruitment. Originally committed to Northern Illinois. Iowa State then offered him around the time of a junior day, I want to say early February, late January. That offer obviously had a big impact on him. I know Kansas State also came in then, and I think when he went back to Iowa State in around April for spring practice, then he switched his commitment and held firm ever since. A couple times we have from the track. Was a silver medalist in the 400 with a 48.19, bronze medalist in the 200 with a 21.61, and I don't believe he made the finals for the 100, but I believe a time of 10.78 is what we have here as far as official times with track. So decent times, not a burner, but certainly not slow. At 10.7.
That's and it's 6'2". That's good, right? So like if the size speed combo, I always give guys that are that tall a little bit of a boost, especially when you project them to whatever they might be at Penn State. So I think it does make sense when you say a 6'2" corner with length. If he's running to 10.7 in high school, like those are the composite things I would be looking for as well.
Yeah, I can't wait till one day we can get like arm length and those things back, right? Because it'd just be nice to have some of those things. So we'll get it with time. We're just all in a big transition point right now. Not just Matt Campbell's staff, but us too, in some ways. But we'll keep digging and learning more on these guys. But one thing I will say is when Chatman did open up his recruitment, which was only briefly, it was only a handful of days that he got out of his signing with Iowa State before switching to Penn State. Minnesota, Wisconsin, Northwestern all did show interest. I think that's notable, especially for a kid who committed when he did in April of this past year. So it's not like like if you look at his offer sheet, it's only a handful of schools. Like Wyoming's on there, maybe another one or two, but some smaller schools. But again, he committed really early to Iowa State, and then once schools realized he's open, there were a handful of Big Ten schools showing interest. So I do think that's notable. To pass on. Also very good friends with Bryson Williams, who we talked about the other day. Those two are going to room together and enroll at Penn State here in, 3 weeks from now? Something like that, maybe 3.5, something like that. So, yeah, we'll see. Another guy, I have so much to learn about these Iowa State guys. We've done so many of these videos where at least we were following their recruitment, saw them at camps. You got a year of building information on them. And, with some of these guys, it's been like a week or two, really.
Yeah, I'm going to give you a pass on this one because having seen a bunch of his film, I don't have a whole lot to say about it either because of the way he was used on offense. And we'll get into that here in just one second. But I guess the biggest thing, and this is kind of a soft transition, is when you look at these players, we're going to zoom out from Tyrell Chatman for a second and talk about the players they're bringing in. I don't think you should question Iowa State's and therefore Matt Campbell and his staff's evaluation of athletes. All three of these guys are great athletes when you look at their, again, like I said, their composite size, athleticism numbers. A quarterback that's 6'3", 200 pounds coming into college, a 6'2", 180 corner. We were talking about like Brandon Finney and players like that. And I'm not saying he's Brandon Finney, but like the dimensions that Penn State was trying to get at corner, they were trying to get guys that have this size and these rough descriptions. So when it comes to, I was thinking about this watching him after watching Bryson Williams and being like, how are all of these like Midwest elite-sized defensive backs just kind of fallen off a tree here at the very end? Because, again, it's not like these were early evaluations by the Iowa State staff, but when you're talking about a safety or a corner here, and Penn State doesn't have any recruits, but we'd be talking about these positions specifically, it's like, hey, Penn State was struggling with some of the East Coast guys they were trying to grab, and, maybe they found some good evaluations of their own in the DMV or in Penn State's backyard. It is funny just for me to like zoom out and go, oh, there are great athletes all over America. Like literally you can go into Illinois, Nebraska and find good athletes. And Iowa State did a great job of identifying within their region in a similar way to what Penn State was doing. And Tyrell Chatman, I think, is kind of a good final piece of that conversation here. Quick reminder here, please like the video and subscribe here to the Blue White Illustrated YouTube channel. By the time you're listening to this video and watching it, most likely we're over 20,000. But here's how that works is like the counter just resets. And now it's like, hey, now it's 25,000. And whatever the next round and or prime number would be that makes sense in your mind, that's what we're going for. So there's never an end to the growth. There's 100,000 people that go to Penn State football games every single weekend. There are clearly enough people for us to get to any number that we want to be at here on the YouTube channel. But we can't do that without you, the subscriber, subscribing, because I know a lot of you, now that Matt Campbell's the coach, maybe you're curious again, and there's a lot more new people here. Hit the subscribe button, because here's the thing, it doesn't do anything to you. It's totally free, and I promise we won't mess up your algorithm. Just more good Penn State football content is going to be coming into your circle. And Ryan, the deepest circle for Blue White Illustrated is bluewhiteillustrated.com. Tell people where they can go and find that.
You just did, T. Frank. bluewhiteillustrated.com, of course.
Oops.
Part of the On3 Rivals Network. 50% off right now, guys. Take advantage of it for a yearly subscription. You're not going to find really, it doesn't get much better than that. And of course, there's a lot going on right now. So, we're excited for everybody who signed up. We're up a couple hundred, in the last month or so, really, since things got, especially in the last couple of weeks. We appreciate everybody who's jumped on board, and, we're excited to show you guys what we can do. And good luck on those message boards, man. They suck you in quite ridiculous at some point. But
yeah,
I mean, it's year 16 for me, so I'm kind of used to them. But some people, man, they love them.
Yeah, you'll be on there arguing with somebody about something, and then you'll look up and be like, no, you cut the cake on your, like, that's fine. I've got to tell Lions fan 844 what's going on with the latest recruit, because I heard Ryan say something. That's how it usually goes down.
Hey, there's some good insiders too, man. I will say, especially going through this transition and stuff, quite a few people that are knowledgeable about the situation throughout State College that are on that board. And, that's been very useful and helpful for subscribers throughout the whole coaching search. And I'm sure that'll be the case here as we go through the fun of the transfer portal here in the weeks ahead.
All right. I have a comparison that I don't think Penn State fans are going to enjoy necessarily, but I don't mean the player ability. I mean the player situation. That's coming up in just 1 second. In football and in finance, having a strong game plan makes all the difference. AJ Freedom Financial helps individuals build personalized financial strategies that align with their goals, timelines, and risk tolerance. From investment guidance and retirement planning to 401k rollovers, HSA assistance, and legacy and wealth strategies, AJ Freedom Financial offers thoughtful, one-on-one support backed by industry experience and a commitment to transparency. Whether you're starting to invest, planning for retirement, or you simply want a second look at your financial approach, AJ Freedom Financial is here to help you make informed, confident decisions. Schedule a no-obligation consultation today at www.ajffi.com. Call 866-383-6899 or email info@ajffi.com. Again, that's ajffi.com. Call 866-383-6899 or email info@ajffi.com. AJ Freedom Financial, helping Nittany Lions fans plan for what's next. Securities and investment advisory services offered through Gradient Securities, LLC. Arden Hills, Minnesota, 866-991-1539. Member FINRA, SIPC. Gradient Securities, LLC, and SEC registered investment advisor, offers investment advisory services under the DBA of Gradient Wealth Management. Gradient Securities, LLC, and its advisors do not render tax, legal, or accounting services. Insurance products and services offered through AJ Freedom Financial. AJ Freedom Financial and Freedom Financial Insurance, LLC are not affiliated with Gradient Securities, LLC. So I want to talk about what we see here from Tyrell Chatman, and he reminds me of a certain player for Penn State football in the last couple of years, and I don't mean how he plays or the outcome of his career. So just please don't be triggered by saying that he reminds me a lot of Cam Miller, and here's why. The first highlight you're going to see here from Tyrell Chatman is at quarterback. As Ryan said, he played a lot of positions over for North Star in Nebraska, where he played. What did you say, Ryan?
Lincoln, Nebraska. Sorry.
Lincoln, Nebraska. Yeah. So he's a quarterback. He's sometimes a slash athlete. So they have a second quarterback that will play. And basically the plan is just get the ball in his hands. Make sure that he gets the ball on as many plays as possible. So what we see from that, so let's start there. Incredibly elusive tackle breaker. I love that. So now we're talking about what are his physical skills. We talked about his upside of his size, 6'2", with good speed, and I'd say great change of direction and elusiveness. When you do get to see him in man coverage, he's a guy that can stay with high school receivers pretty easily, blanket them. I think he's got a good vertical. You can see here some coverage diagnostics, but truthfully, he played more quarterback than he played corner, and he played more on offense than he did on defense. So it's truly, and that's why I was comparing him to Cam Miller. Cam Miller was a great athlete, and you didn't really know about his cornerback skills because he didn't get to play it a whole lot his junior season, and then he transferred and played there his senior year and started to look more like a corner. So that's really what you got a great, I'd say, and great in relative terms of you think this guy that you don't know anything about who is from Nebraska, for Penn State fans, they don't see the star rating. But I did want to put it up over here earlier, 88 overall for 247 and for Rivals. So the athletic profile here is positive. And Ryan, we've talked about this. If you're going to go get corners and you're going to take a bet on an upside guy, you definitely want height, weight, speed at corner. That's an athleticism position, and he certainly brings that to the table. As far as his cornerback skills, I don't know. Because there are just not that many plays on tape, and having watched 3 full games from him this year to see the ups and the downs. He got beat a couple times. He's in off coverage. He doesn't get thrown out a whole lot. So it's difficult to just say okay, he translates to a boundary corner, a man cover corner, a zone corner. The other guys in this class so far from Iowa State, I understood okay, here's how they fit. This is what their skills are. Very clearly, I understand the general sense of what they bring to the table. With Chatman, my biggest problem was watching his film. I didn't feel like he was playing well at any one particular position because he's being put in too many positions. So corner, he's not playing as much as the other two positions. And when he's playing quarterback in a game, he's playing less on defense. So they're just trying to take the mental load off of him at 2 different positions. And then he's not really a receiver. He's obviously not going to be a quarterback at the next level. So it just feels like he's making a lot of plays, but is he making game-defining plays? Or he's the team's best player, and they try to get the ball in his hands all the time. It just felt like too much and not enough specificity. So I'm curious to learn about what his skills are going forward. Glad he's going to be enrolling early to learn a little bit more about him, because this is truly an upside play with a big question mark around it for me.
Frank, you just needed to take the breakdown you did on Cam Miller and just put it here, because that sounds exactly like Cam Miller. Remember, he was playing so much corner and stuff like that. So that's just funny you bring that up. But look, again, sign athletes, right? I don't think Penn State's new staff, Matt Campbell's staff, who comes over there, I don't think they're going to be adding all these Iowa State guys. We just saw Arlie Morrell, for example, go to Kansas State last night. I don't believe that the Penn State staff was pushing all that hard there. So I do get the feeling that they are picking and choosing their spots. You're right, finding the best athletes that they thought they had in their class and bringing them here. Whether that ends up being 3, 4, 5 more guys or potentially more, I think that will largely depend on how the portal works out. There are guys who are rolling early, like Chatman, like Case Evans, like Bryson Williams. It makes sense for those guys to hop on early, but there are others who aren't planning to do that, and by opening their recruitments, they might have interest elsewhere. So things will draw out a little bit more. But right now, I mean, after 4 or 5 days of this kind of little surge of commitments and trying to dig up information, it certainly feels like they are prioritizing the best athletes they can, that guys
Yeah.
that, can hang in the room with the standards that Penn State has set, and then kind of figure it out from there, which is really all you can do when you signed two guys in the early period. And, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but out of the top 500 or so, I think I did this number right before the early signing period. I think out of the top 500 recruits or 600, it was maybe like 25 guys, something like that. So, of course, Michigan's class is up in the air at the moment too, after everything with Sharon Moore. Maybe some guys out of that class we'll be talking about. But, considering the situation they're in and the turnover they're going to have, finding the best athletes you can and getting them inside your building and taking it from there. I don't know what else you can do, but it seems like a good plan to me.
It speaks to me to a certain level of translation. And again, I think this is an upside, and I want to paint this as an upside for the Iowa State translation to Penn State. These athletes are Big Ten caliber, right? And so like their ability to identify coverage athletes, receivers, things like that. It's going to be in the trenches that I think there's going to be the biggest question mark that we have from a recruiting standpoint and from an acquisition standpoint. Not that they're not good at those things, but just generally, like, I don't think you're going to be finding a ton of guys from the Iowa State roster overall or from their recruiting pool that will make that leap. And that's not because they can't identify that talent, but those are the rare ones, right? Those are the ones that even Penn State would have a difficult time finding consistently every single year at every single position.
There's only so many Malachi Goodmans in the world.
Exactly.
Right? I mean, how many times we talk about the big time defensive tackles who often stay south and kind of seem like they get raised in Georgia and Alabama and all those places. Like there's just only so many of them with that size speed combination. So I agree with everything you're saying. But here's the thing: now they're at Penn State. There are Maxwell Hillers in your back door, right? There's plenty of really good linemen too. They got to go out and prove that they can win those battles, and that's what we got 6 months of trying to see what happens. Which another reason to take advantage of that 50% offer, because for a year you can hang out all the way till next Christmas with us, which then we'll hopefully know a lot more about how they're going to recruit. Yeah,
and we'll have 2027 will be mostly in the books as well. So as much as it feels like 2027 is a long way away, a lot of these relationships.
Don't jinx us. I don't want to deal with this again.
All I was going to say is 2027 is a long way away, but it's already one of those situations where classes are being built right now. So Penn State has to play catch up, and that's going to be part of the drama over the next year as well, to see how quickly they can play catch up and how quickly they can identify some of these players in the class of 2027 as well. So we're talking about a lot of things here. Just basically a mini recruiting update on Tyrell Chatman and on Penn State recruiting here as we get out of here with the breaking news. But to bring it back together, Tyrell Chatman is a outside player, corner for Penn State. We're going to see how he develops and how that athleticism translates to the Big Ten. Stick with us here on the Blue White Illustrated YouTube channels. We work through all these commitments. I apologize. We're not doing the punter. I don't have 10 minutes worth of punter conversation in me. So we'll be back next time Penn State gets a commit or there's more breaking news here on the Blue White Illustrated YouTube channel.